Welcome back to the SDR podcast. We are back. I'm your co-host Tim Fournier alongside Ian Mills.
What's going on, guys? I did the classic YouTube intro. It's been a while. It's been, I think, what, three months or so. We've had
Yeah.
eventful summers, both of us, so it's good to be back in a more regular capacity, once a week, every week,
Yep.
going forward.
I know. I mean, we said that before, and we did like 10 episodes or whatever the heck it was.
Mhm.
Um, and this is episode 13 of this kind of, yeah, you could say we're starting the rebuild again,
Yeah, it's
actually.
like the fourth or fifth time in the last 5 years we've started the rebuild, and
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. I
mean,
think we were talking about it off air. It's just fun to do. You know what I mean? We're gonna make more consistent, but it's just fun to do. So I think we're gonna always do it until until we get bored of it. And I don't think either of us have gotten bored of it yet. So
no. And I think just kind of that break, uh, I was definitely in like a very transitionary part of my life, figuring I had to figure out a lot of things and where things kind of fit in my life. I literally moved. Now I'm in on my own in Charlotte, North Carolina for grad school. So I now that I'm settled, I'm fully ready to commit to this long term. And I know you're kind of figuring some things out too, but like I think we kind of had a reset. And we probably picked a great name. We're starting the rebuild again.
yeah.
Hopefully that was the last rebuild, and now we can kind of build to contend. But
Well, I think it's almost like a misnomer. Like you gotta, if you're an NBA franchise, right, or NFL franchise, you're gonna rebuild like 6 or 7 times across your entire lifespan. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you might have a million different coaches and GMs, but you're always gonna be rebuilding in life. I think that's a lesson of start the rebuild is life. Got to rebuild quite a few times.
yeah,
But yeah, you brought up the moving part. I guess we'll start with that. So obviously you moved down to Charlotte or for grad school. What was it about Charlotte, the 49ers, right?
hmm
To decide to go there, and what's that transition been like? What's been moving like?
yeah. So University of North Carolina at Charlotte is where I'm going to be attending grad school. I ultimately decided kind of the path that I wanted to go, and Charlotte, you kind of like the first Google search. So what I'm doing is a master's in real estate, and the first Google search you're gonna do is like best masters in real estate programs, and Charlotte was high up on that list, and I actually know someone who went through the MBA program here and highly recommended it, so that kind of like got the ball rolling a little bit. I actually did an internship over the summer with a construction company, and they have a location in Charlotte and Durham, so it's like, okay, like that kind of got me thinking about it. Um, and I definitely wanted to try like not that this is like the biggest thing you should be thinking about when you pick like a grad school program, but I wanted to try living somewhere a little warmer because I'm from upstate New York, and then I went to school in Wisconsin, and I was like, okay, like going somewhere kind of warmer would be different and cool and see what that's like. And I mean, their program for this is just really good, and then the more I looked into it, they have a lot of cool things and are, really geared towards career mentorship and development. And the goal is so I start classes Monday, but the goal is to be using like every career resource they have and,
Right.
finding a job. And then this is a 2-year program. And, I'm at some point, the plan is to be working and doing school, um, and doing this. So, yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here. Kind of random. My life is just kind of random, I feel like. But yeah, that's kind
No,
of
I mean that's kind of like I get that though, because like we've spoken about this on the podcast where it is like being our age, and not to make it about like our age and post college life, but it is sort of just like you do the simulation like 100 times and your life is different every time. So it's just like
Mhm.
it is just kind of random. Um, even going to Wisconsin, like at high school. Like, what if you had gone to Minnesota instead, or something like that? So it is just kind of random in life in general. So you moved in 5 days ago.
Yep.
what have you been doing for 5 days? Obviously, unboxing, buying stuff. What's been the last 5 days like?
So I'm also training for a marathon right now. Um,
Oh, right.
that is one thing that kind of cool. Like at the end of episodes, whenever we had like a guest, we would ask them like, "What's one like?" There's the bucket list of things you want to do in your life, but like more in terms of like a goal that you want to accomplish. And one of the things was that I wanted to run a marathon. Um, and that's been really big for me, honestly, in this period where it's like, you know. I keep calling it like a North Star, like something that's like keeping me on like a path and feeling like I like wake up and have like a purpose and something to accomplish every day. So I've been running in the morning and then, I'll ha I've been doing a lot of unpacking, getting a lot of deliveries and stuff like that. And then I've been still working out too, so I'll go lift and I've been cooking all my meals and playing NCAA football 25.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing the last 5 days. I did have orientation the last 2 days too, I should say. But this weekend, not a lot of plans because I literally don't know anyone. But gonna see where it
Fair,
takes me. There's supposed
fair
to
enough.
be like pool parties at my apartment that has pool. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know. But I also don't know anyone, so I feel really weird just being like, what are your thoughts on that? Like if I'm sitting in my apartment and there's a literal like pool party and everyone's probably gonna like more or less know each other. Like I think there's a lot of new people to the apartment, but it's like
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's like when you first said that in my head, my mind went to like a pool table, like that kind of pool. I was like, oh, that'd be chill
uh
as hell. And no, obviously it's swimming pool. But I don't I think obviously you want to make friends and you want to meet people. I don't think it's weird to go down there and be like introduce yourself. You know, I think here's what I would probably do. Wait around like the lobby almost and meet people there. I don't know. I think like it's gonna be an opportunity to meet people. Is it like are you living, is your apartment complex, is it like associated with a school at all, or is it like no?
no.
So sometimes, but it is mostly students living there or no?
Honestly, no. Like the
Oh,
area is pretty young, but I'm definitely like on the younger end of the young people, if that makes sense. Like
I think that gives you a step up though.
I feel like everyone in this kind of area is like 23 to 28 or 9, but
Uh,
like the like average age is like 26, which makes sense. But
yeah.
um, yeah, so I also like feel young. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can that gives you the you can sort of go in there. I feel like if you're younger, obviously 23, you're an adult, but like people will treat people who are younger than them as if they're like almost like a specimen in a good way, though. Like in a good way. Like when I first started my job and I was the youngest person there, they'd be like, "Do you even remember what a Pokemon is?" or something like that. It's like stupid stuff. Like you're almost like they're just like interested to see like what your way of life is, even if it was like a 4 year difference like COVID in college compared to COVID in high school. Well, I guess we were in COVID in college, we were COVID in high school.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
um, I think yeah, waiting out in the lobby, maybe just trying to meet people that way, and then yeah, you can go down to the pool party, and if you're there for 10 minutes and like wow, this is very uncomfortable and I hate this, you just go back up. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
how
that's
much
fair.
shit. Because like yeah, when I was like in high school, I wouldn't have done that because I would have been like, oh, what if I feel ashamed by this? And then now it's like, well, no, just all right, if I do, then who cares? Like I'll go play college
Yeah.
football, which I played a lot of recently. Um,
So you
so
have it. You
have
have the game.
I I'll tell you this story quick. I'll make it quick. I didn't have it for a long time. That's the start of the story. I decided so after I had a very busy couple of weeks, and I decided, and I was having another busy week after. I had like 2 days to myself, and I was like, not even to myself because I was still working those days, but my nights, like I could come home and just be by myself. I was like, I need to play this game. I was like, I was playing like MLB The Show, and I was like, this is boring right now. I need a new game to play. I had a PS4 though, so I was like, I need to buy a new console. Xbox Series S is the cheap one. It's like $250, which is not cheap, but it is the cheap one. So I'm thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I'll go buy it at GameStop. Drive to GameStop like last Friday, like literally a week ago today. Drive to GameStop. It's like a monsoon outside in Binghamton. I get there. They have a sign on the door that says, our registers are not working. We cannot do transactions. I'm like, what are the odds of that? So I go west, presumably it was because of the weather. So I look on the map and I look up another GameStop. So I'm like, oh, there's another one in Johnson City, which is like 10 minutes away. I'll go to that one. Drive to Johnson City. There is no GameStop. Like I show up and the
Mhm.
storefront is like just like a different store. It just like is not there. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Like I'm not gonna be able to buy this thing. Then I have the genius idea of saying, wait a minute, I can buy it online for pickup at the GameStop where the registers aren't working. I was like, this is
Mm.
genius. So that's what I do. I order online, pay for it online, drive to the other GameStop, walk in the door, and they're like, hey, how can I help you? I'm like, I'm here to pick up my Xbox that I ordered. And I show them the receipt. I paid, 200 whatever dollars for this. And they're like, yeah, we can't give it to you. And I was like, what? And they're like, our it's not just our registers are down, everything's down. We can't confirm that you bought anything. And I was like, well, I have this receipt, but whatever. It's like, I won't buy it. So I couldn't get it that Friday. I kept calling literally like once an hour, like, hey, register. Because I had to go to work and I was working, but it was kind of a lighter day. So I kept calling, being like, hey, can I go pick this up? Hey, can I go pick this up? Whatever. The registers are down the entire rest of the night. The next morning, I went to go pick it up. Thankfully, the registers were back up, but I had to drive to my girlfriend's house, which is 2.5 hours south of me. So I hit the road, set it up, bought the game, had it download as we went to like lunch or breakfast or lunch or dinner. And then like that night, we were just like hanging out in bed and like she fell asleep and I was like, ooh, I can get a game in right now. I got a game. I got like one half of a game where I only played the offense with like Boise State. But long story short, I've been playing it a lot the last week, I should say. Last night I played it a bunch. I'm a quarterback with Buffalo, with UB. We went to the college football playoff and lost in overtime to Notre Dame. I threw a pick six in overtime to lose it.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like a deflected pass at the line too, and I just got trucked and
So are
it was
you
bad.
more of a road to glory guy or what?
Yeah, I think so. I
You always love
wanted
those game modes.
what's that?
You always love those game modes.
Yeah. I like the career aspect. So I like the stats, I like counting my own stats. But I want to do Dynasty. I'm gonna do a Dynasty. Probably I'll maybe start it tonight. Um,
I
yeah,
just
I just
started
like
a
the whole
Charlotte
recruiting.
Dynasty.
What's that?
I just started a Charlotte Dynasty.
Oh, they weren't in the last one, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, FCS to FBS. Look at them go. Them and JMU.
Heck yeah.
RIP Idaho.
R.I.P. the Vandals.
They still exist, but they're actually insanely good in the FCS level, which goes to show you if you're a middling FBS program, you can always jump down and be a powerhouse.
There you go. People got to think about that more.
Yeah. Should should definitely think about that more.
So,
But
anyways, lots
yeah,
of that has been being played. We should definitely do an online dynasty or something then.
should. That'd be a lot of fun.
Um, and then stream it for no reason. And then so you were just in a wedding
Yeah.
or for
So my buddy, the our buddy, I should say, we both went to high school with him.
yeah.
I've known him, my buddy Ben. I've known him since I was 4 years old. We moved in. Our parents moved in across from each other. And yeah, I've known him forever. He got married 2 weekends ago, um, in Rochester, and it was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. I guess I'll start with the bachelor party. We did his bachelor party like a month ago. It was like 2 weeks before the wedding. We went to Boston. First time I was ever in Boston. Caught a Sox game, It was fun though. We didn't do too anything crazy. Played Top Golf for the first time in my life, but Fenway is if you care about baseball or sports in general, go to Fenway. It is really a very fun stadium to watch a ball game at. It is like it's people say like historic and all that, and it is historic, but it's just like a very cool atmosphere. That's coming from someone who hates Boston sports. So that was fun. But the wedding itself was actually like electric. I was so nervous because anything could go wrong. My actual like my whole thing was just to
Wait, why
like
were you
make sure.
nervous?
Well, the speech was the big thing I was
Oh
nervous.
yeah, duh.
Yeah,
You're the best man. Yeah.
best man. Yeah, I probably should have
Yeah,
said that. Best
that's
man.
a lot of wow.
Yeah, so like part of it was just like making sure he was good, making sure he was not super nervous. He had his vows done. Like, I was just feeding him water and like feeding him Gatorade and like basically just trying to calm him down. And he was doing a good job of just staying calm as well. How like you're not supposed to see the bride before, whatever. So like the bathroom was like right next to her room in the church. So I had led like almost like blindfold him to bring him to the bathroom. Not, that's an exaggeration, but like that was like kind of the whole thing. And then the ceremony was great. It was beautiful. He was in tears. They did real well. And then yeah, and then the ceremony or the reception came, and the reception was a lot of fun. I was nervous with the speech. I had written it probably like I've written it over the last like 2 months just in preparation, and I kind of finalized it like a couple days before. I read that thing like to my girlfriend Laurel like probably like 20 times just in preparation. Like, is this good enough? Is this good? Is this bad? Whatever. But it went well. It was, about the fact that him and I has grown up, and then how she came into the picture when we were in high school. Um, and it was like, yeah, it was like I was happy at the end of it. I was like really like the calm the nerves. It was funny because like I was the second person of four people to speak, and I was like the only one that went like the comedy route, which I think helped me out a lot. His mom's speech was actually also very funny, but it was obviously very heartfelt as well, and
Hmm.
more heartfelt than funny. And mine was more funny than heartfelt, but I also wanted to make it heartfelt. So it was like it was good because people were laughing. Like that was my thing. It's like if people aren't laughing and I'm tossing out jokes, like this is gonna be really awkward. And it's good because he's like 6'8", so like he can just make height jokes, and then people are gonna laugh because that's I guess funny. So it went well. It was very nerve-wracking, but it went well. And it was like me and his brothers were sitting like on the stairs at the ceremony before he was like coming down or before
Hmm.
like the procession. And we were like, is this really happening? Like this is like an adult thing. Like this is kind of insane. Like it's like not insane for them because they've been together for 5+ years, but it was insane because it was like I have to do adult things now. Like that was like
Yeah,
like this is part of it was like
that's
whoa,
the
like
biggest thing.
and but it was a lot of fun and super happy for them. They're on their honeymoon right now and loving it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be in a wedding next August, and even then I was like,
ew.
wow, that's crazy. And you were already in one, and it's like we are old.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
No,
are
for sure, dude. Yeah, for sure. It's like um 23, 23.
23 is early to get married, but
Eh,
it's weird to think that it's like an option now.
yeah. Yeah, like but the thing is like if you're 23 and you're getting married, you've presumably been with this person for a while.
Right.
A lot longer than like you would have been otherwise. But I think also like you kind of have to have everything set up for yourself perfectly. Like you can't do, you know, you had to have gone to the same high school, maybe, definitely gone to the same college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not, or at least a college in the same city, really, honestly, as long as you guys are living in the same city. And then like, yeah, like you can't be doing long distance. Your parents have to be like, ready for it as well, because or maybe not ready for it, but like at least available to help out. So yeah, there's like a lot that needs to go right. And like as we get older, like things can get, not everything needs to be perfect as time goes down or as we get older to get married. So yeah, it is crazy that that is an option. Like that is currently something that people we know very well are doing.
Yeah.
Um, But I think that's also like maybe like an upstate New York, like smaller city thing. Cause I was like talking to my girlfriend about it and she's from like New York City area. And
Mhm.
she was like, yeah, people don't get married here until like way later in life. And I was like, ah, I
Yeah, I
guess
feel
it's,
like that's honestly, I feel like that's a New York City thing. To
yeah, you might be right,
late.
actually.
Because
You
I
might be right.
feel like, I mean, I don't really know, but I feel like I've heard people in like the South, they get married really young.
Mhm.
Like I think
Yeah,
that's the thing.
sounds right. That sounds right.
But like New York, I feel like New York City, everyone's so like career focused that they're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to focus on anything other than the just not everyone, but like the
Yeah, the
general like New
yeah.
York City atmosphere.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. That
Question,
was a good time.
sorry, random question that popped into my head. When is the ideal age that you would like to have kids?
Whoa.
I think
I
about this a lot, actually.
I kind of did too. Maybe not a lot, but I think for me, like right before I'm 30, and but like I'm looking at the timeline in my head right now, and I'm like, I don't know how I would make that happen. Like just like I like the things we need to go very well for me to make that happen before I'm 30. Just like
Oh,
living wise and stuff like that. But I want my kids to like I don't want to have my kids at like 40, which is like what my parents did. Or at least they had me at my 40, they had all my older siblings, at a younger age.
yeah,
But
from my dad at least was 40.
yeah, so it's like I'm cool with that, but like I always like the idea of being closer in age
Hmm.
with your kids, just kind of being able to relate to them a little bit more. Like the generational gap isn't as big, and also like you can be a little bit more active. My parents are very active still to this day, but like
Hmm.
I don't know, I like the idea of being like when my kids are graduating that I'm like 50. You know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
kind of like that. But I think that might just be like a selfish, like I don't think the timeline matters too much, but I think yeah, around the age of 30, hopefully a little bit before that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just so, I don't think it's something you like really get to choose.
Mm.
Like I don't even have a girlfriend. Like
Yeah.
I'm very far away from having
Yeah.
kids. But the idea of being younger kind of interests me. Like you said, like relating more and stuff like that. And I don't know. But at the same time, like if you have kids later, like I feel like a lot of stuff you can do like with your wife, like when you're younger, like maybe like vacation
Mhm.
stuff when you're like
That's
30 and
true.
like experiences like that. So there's definitely like benefits to both sides and like maybe it's easier to advance earlier in your career. Like I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think about that all the time because like my dad was older and like there's very like positive aspects of that and negative. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're certainly more financially well, it depends on your life and depends on who it is. Like
Yeah.
that's the reason my parents, I'm one of five. Like that, they have five kids. And they had kids when they were 30 or their firstborn kid was when they were like early 30s, and the reason they did that was partially because it was like, well, they're going to be in a better financial setting when they're 32 than when they were first got married when they were 22.
Hmm.
So like there's that aspect of it. So yeah, you're right, it isn't something that you can really choose. And no matter like when you're not gonna if your kid's graduating and you're 50 versus being 60, you're not gonna care. You're not gonna be like, oh man, I wish I was younger for this right now. Like that's not gonna you're not gonna care too much about that. So it's like, yeah, it's more worried about like just the wanting to be set up to give them and yourself obviously a
Yeah.
very successful. So yeah. Man, my sister has two kids, and like, they're living it up. Like watching them hang out, it's just like I'm like, this is cool. Like every time I get to see them, I'm excited. And like right now, like that's cool. Like that's what I like. Just like I'll be the uncle. Like I want to be the uncle right now, and then less than 10 years probably, I'll cross that bridge, Bob.
Yeah.
Um, but super random, just to go to another segment. Essentially, last week I interviewed Dante DiVincenzo, which might have been
Oh
like the
yeah.
most
I wanted to ask you about that.
random Yeah, it was the most random maybe interview I've ever done in my life. Um, it came up basically out of nowhere. He's doing, I guess he works, he's like an endorsement deal or sponsorship with Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
Originated in Binghamton, if you didn't know.
Did not.
And so, like, you know how there's like the House of Sport, there's one in
Yeah.
Albany, there's one in Rochester, there's one in Binghamton. I think there's probably more than that, but I know those are at least the three of them that I'm aware of. And so he's basically doing a tour of all three, and he'll show up and, you know, sign autographs.
Hmm.
And they asked me, like, his PR firm, I don't know if it's his PR firm or his agent's, someone that is associated with him reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to interview him ahead of the time, a Zoom interview?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, of course." And so I hopped on a call with this PR person. He was 15 minutes late, which is, I wasn't like, was not annoyed by it by any means. I was like, he's an NBA player.
Privileged NBA player. This is bullshit.
He can do whatever he wants. I was like, I don't care, and I wasn't in a rush or anything. I was like, he can do literally whatever he wants.
He's
He
dead
can
to
just
me.
not show up if he wants to. Um, but he was super apologetic when that was what I was going to bring, was when he came in, he was super apologetic for being late. Him and his fiance just had a kid, I guess, and he was taking care of a newborn. Totally understandable. But he was super
Awful
nice about
excuse.
it. Yeah, he was super nice about the whole thing. So I was like, it calmed my nerves because I was like, okay, he's a down to earth guy. He's a good dude. So
That's cool.
you do interviews like that, it's weird because like you're obviously trying to promote something for them, right? You're trying to promote the fact that he's coming to the House of Sport, but you also want to ask him about like things about his career, right?
Hmm.
And so somebody, I got a tip from somebody that he did an interview like an hour before I did with someone else, like a Zoom interview, like similar setting. But the person he was interviewed by did not know who he was. So it's something in journalism that you will, you know, if you're interviewing someone that isn't like a very well-known public figure, you always have to ask, "Hey, can you say and spell your first last name?" Because it's like an, I think it's like an FCC rule, but you basically have to ask that. And so, but if it's like Dante DiVincenzo, you're not gonna, come on. We know who Dante DiVincenzo is. So like she basically, this person was like, "Hey, can you say and spell your first and last name?" And he was just like, wow, like what? Like what? And then she was like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "I play for the New York Knicks." And so he was apparently, from what I was tipped off by, he was not in a very good mood. But then I came in the interview and like it was going well. It was going well. And my friends are from like the Westchester, New York City area, and they're all big Knicks fans. And I was like, what should I ask him? What should I ask him about? And they were like asking him about his favorite Italian place in Westchester. And I was just like, that's so random. But I asked him, I was like, what is your favorite Italian place in New York City slash Westchester area? And he was like, wow, that is a phenomenal question. He was like that was like his favorite thing we talked about. And he could tell, I think, that like I knew a little, maybe because just the contrast of the first person you interviewed and me. He was like, okay, you know, like you're at least aware of who I am. Like you're aware that like I, you know, like I asked him about Villanova, I asked him about the Bucks championship. So he was aware of like who I was, or I was aware of who he was. And the interview honestly really went pretty well. It was like we talked for like 12 minutes. He was super nice the entire time. Yeah, it was super. It was just like
That's
I
cool.
remember doing it. Yeah, it was super. It was super cool. It was random. After I'd done it, I had to run out to a different story and kind of forgot about it. And then like later that night, I was like, oh, I should probably like post stuff on social, and I did. I posted stuff on like YouTube and Instagram, and it did pretty well for like my standards. And I had a bunch of people reach out to me like, "This is so cool! Like this was a great interview." And I was like, "Oh, cool!" I was like, it made me feel really good about it because going in, I was super nervous.
Yeah.
At least a little bit nervous because you know I have interviewed plenty of pretty big names, but not in the NBA world. Like MLB guys I've interviewed, and MLB guys are like notoriously like kind of chill. NHL guys notoriously kind of chill. Like NBA guys, I've never interviewed NBA guys, so it was like I didn't know what to expect. And he was super cool about the whole thing. And yeah, it was super like one of those things I'll look back in my career and be like, that was really random that that happened, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool. Was there any part of you when you got like invitation to interview him or whatever you want to call it, um, that was like, whoa, like what was going through your head when like that comes through?
Sort of. I kind of expected it a little bit because a kid I went to college with, he works in Albany now,
Hmm.
and I knew that he had toured the Albany place, and I figured he would tour the Binghamton place as well. And so he did stuff with him when he was in Albany. Not like a 12-minute Zoom interview, but he like talked to him at the autograph signing or something
Yeah.
like that. So I kind of expected a little bit. When I saw it though, I was like really excited. I was sort of honestly, we had a girl, a local runner, woman, I should say, who was running in the Olympics that same week. So like that was the big story. Like that was what I was focused on. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, let's make this happen. Like let's do this. This is gonna be cool. Like I was almost just like excited for it. It was definitely out of the blue. I think the fact that we were covering an Olympian sort of like helped overshadow it in my mind, which was almost good because I wasn't able to think as much about the interview
Hmm.
as I probably would have. Like I would have overthought it, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was super weird, and yeah, that's just kind of what journalism is, like randomly, like Happy Gilmore, right? The
Hmm.
movie. So the villain in that movie, Shooter McGavin, I'm interviewing him later today. So it's just like random. It's just super random, like, and I got told about it literally yesterday. So it's just like
That's sick.
it's just the most random. You never know when something you're gonna get a text or an email like, hey, so and so's coming to town. We need you to talk to him.
Yeah.
So it's random.
Yeah. But I think that's a big lesson to just jump right in. Don't even like think twice about like, oh, like that's so scary. Like this person's
Yeah.
famous or whatever the situation is. But
Yeah,
like
it helps
scary,
that
just, like do it without thinking. Just like
yeah,
do it scared, do it without thinking.
for sure. Yeah, and it helps that like my first year working in Binghamton, like I had to talk to Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander and Jacob
Yeah.
deGrom and you know, future Hall of Famers in Major League Baseball and who maybe weren't like the most thrilled to be speaking to Binghamton reporters because they didn't want to be in Binghamton. You know what I mean? Like I get that. Um, although I will say Justin Verlander is like one of the nicest human beings in the world. Like it was the charisma, the charm on this guy was just oozing.
I mean, how do you date Kate Upton without that?
I'm pretty sure somebody asked him about Kate Upton, like, and he was cool about it, which is like a super. You would never ask like in a post game scrum, you'd never be like, "Hey, how's your wife, man?" Like you would never do that. But I think someone did, and I don't remember if it was before the cameras were on or after. But he was super chill about it. He was like, "Yeah, she didn't make the trip to Binghamton. He gave us like a whole spiel, and it was like, dude, this is like a good. He's just like a good dude, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because he's one of the greatest pitchers Major League Baseball has ever seen, and he's having, I mean, he's not having a great year, but again, he's 40 years old. Like he was the Cy Young 2 years ago. I
Yeah.
think maybe it was 3 years ago. But either way,
That's
that was
cool.
my Justin
There you
Verlander.
go. There you go.
Go Tigers.
Well, that's all I got, unless there's something else
Yeah.
you.
No, that's all I got. I guess we can do our top what we want goals. That's the word I was thinking of. I got
Mm.
real hyped talking about Justin Verlander now.
Do we want to keep adding to this every single time? I guess I might like need a new like answer every time I'm gonna do this.
I'm thinking like weekly goal. I'm thinking like weekly
Oh,
goals.
weekly goal.
Weekly goals.
Um, well, something I've been doing, I've been trying to do now that I'm here and I'm starting school next week is I've been trying to introduce myself to at least one person every single day, which isn't a very lofty goal, but it's, I mean, I think I've done more than that per day, but
Mm.
the goal is to be very like outgoing in this period because I think there's also an aspect of like, oh, I'm new here, like I'm just trying to um like introduce myself to people, but like if I wait like a month or whatever, it's
Right.
then I don't have the, oh, I literally just moved here aspect of it, you know?
Yeah.
Which maybe that doesn't matter at all, but it's like easier in my head to
Yeah. I
put
think
it
you're also
that way.
setting the tone for yourself too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you're just like a recluse for 30 days and then you try to be social, it's like what? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to get out of that. And like
Right.
if you're right from the jump, you're setting the tone like, hey, this is who I'm gonna be, um, at least for the next, however long until I'm meeting people. So that's a good goal.
Yeah.
I think for me, a big goal when the last month, when we brought this back a couple months ago, my big goal for most weeks was like gym oriented. And
Mhm.
I was very happy that I stuck with that for a long time. Not to brag, lost about 20 pounds over the course of the last year, which I was happy
Oh.
with. And a lot of it was in anticipation for the wedding because I was like, I want to
Mhm.
wait for the wedding and be in shape for the wedding, and I did a pretty good job at that. However, since the wedding, I've been like, oh, I can let myself go a little bit. And I haven't fully, but I definitely have gotten a lot more lax with going to the gym and working out, and I've just been going on like a lot of walks lately, like
Mhm.
hikes almost just to get the steps up, and maybe been eating not the greatest food. So for me, it's like, all right, I got to get back into I let myself relax for 2 weeks. Maybe not relax isn't the right word, but like I laxed my diet and I laxed my exercise the last kind of week and a half since the wedding. So I got to get back into the thick of things. So my whole thing, I guess my goal would be if I had to put a number on it, go to the gym / go on a hike at least 4 of the next 7 days until we meet again, I guess.
There we go. I like it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the tough things, like um when you have like a big reason as to why you're like
Working out.
locking into your workouts and everything, and then that passes, and then you're like, well, what
What
now?
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
That's exactly how I
yeah.
felt.
I kind of had that this summer where I was like on a really strict diet and lost some weight. And then I like said I was going to do it for a certain amount of time. And then that was over. And then it's like, oh, well, no, I'm leaving in like a month ish. And then I just kind of like, oh, well, I have to have a garbage plate before I leave. Like, oh, like I'm gonna be like so like dialed in once I'm there on my own that like I want to enjoy these things while I can. And I probably pushed that too far, and it was like
Yeah.
too long of a time. But you know,
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. Is like high school football starts literally on Monday. And it's impossible like from a local reporter's perspective, high school football takes up literally your entire life for like 3.5 months. So like going to the gym is very difficult. So part of me is like, well, I should probably, before that starts, I should probably set better habits for myself until then. But all right, well, hey, Timmy, till next time, 1 week from today,
1 week from today.
we will see you back here on the Start the Rebuild podcast. It'll be episode 14, and we'll talk all things, whatever happened in our week, plus maybe NFL preseason. I don't know. I just threw that out there. I
Yeah,
just
NFL starting soon. We're gonna have some stuff to talk about for that for
oh
sure.
yeah, some takes.
Some takes. All
All
right.
right,
Peace out, everybody.
bye
See
bye.
ya soon. Peace.